guys, it's Friday Food for Thought, and today I wanted to expand upon a message that I had posted earlier today about being vulnerable enough to be messy when you need to be messy. So it's sort of why I'm showing up like this in all my realness right now. I just got back from a walk with my dog, and be grateful that this is not smell-o-vision because I'm a little ripe. But I wanted to talk about this concept of being willing to be messy. In the post that I did earlier, I talked a little bit about my personal journey, which was sort of a recovering perfectionist in the way that I wanted people to view me. So I a few years ago now, was in a failing marriage, and I was posting all over social media, like, how great my life was and how happy I was. And we had moved to Florida, and so it was like all these like beach pictures and pool pictures, and people would comment and they would say, your life's so perfect, I'm so happy for you. And that was the validation that I needed at the time to feel okay, because inside my marriage and the inner workings, my husband at the time was transitioning to live as a woman and wasn't out yet. And so we were dealing with all of that stuff. She had started taking hormones, and so it was like things were really crazy. And we were house poor, and we were living in this house with like no furniture, right? So there was like rooms I could take pictures in that like had furniture, and then there were like whole rooms that didn't have anything in them. And it was really stressful. And so when my marriage ultimately ended, when I moved back to New England, and when I like completely fell apart and started rebuilding myself through like therapy, and I went to Al-Anon meetings, and I journaled and meditated, and I got readings, and I reconnected to my truth, to who I am. And it's funny because I'll say like the most wonderful thing about being a single mom, when I was a single mom to, these two small children, is that nobody expected anything from me. It was like I could just show up places late. I could show up to potlucks without food to share. My kids could show up places a mess. I could forget people's birthdays, right? And all the things that are like very human, especially when you're under a lot of stress, which most of us are. And everyone was like so gracious towards me. And it was so funny because I remember thinking, when I was pretending to be perfect, there's so many expectations of what, especially for women, especially for moms, of like how much we're supposed to carry and how much we're supposed to keep it together and show up perfectly presentable and check all the boxes. And it doesn't really matter what the cost is, right? The cost to our soul, the cost to our health, the cost to our well-being, all of that. It doesn't really matter. But then when I was a single mom, that was all suddenly gone. And like people gave me all this space to be a mess. And I fucking loved it. I loved it. It was like, I was like, I can just be a mess. I can just be unapologetically who I am, which it by nature is a little bit of a mess. Like I'm often the parent who like gets the note home, like just a reminder, like morning snacks, and I'm like, oh, right. Yeah. I got a lot of things going on in my head, and sometimes I miss things, and that's okay. Like that's fine. So that carried over. It was like realizing, even as I got my life more together, right? And like I started working and, was really able to like provide for my children on my own, which felt so good, and really working on like creating financial independence and freedom and all of that. And then I met the absolute love of my life, and we actually had eloped last year, and it's fantastic. But even once like I wasn't a single mom anymore, right? I have a partner, he's amazing, he shows up, he does stuff. I'm like, I'm not living for those expectations anymore. So I'm still willing to be a mess when I need to be a mess, and that has carried me so much further than I could have gone before. Because when I was worried about meeting everyone's expectations of me and presenting myself in a way that was like appealing to the masses, right? I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't being authentic, and I was so consumed with those rules that I wasn't leaving the space to really figure out what it was I wanted to do, and how I wanted to do it, and how I wanted to make a difference in the world. And, you know, I just, on Wednesday, put in my notice for that job that I've been working for, you know, 2 years now. That was like the lifeline of me transitioning into being single and having my video just cut off in the middle of my video, and I kept talking for quite a while, and I could just start over, but in honor of being a mess and letting things not be perfect, I'm just gonna kind of pick up and see where we go. So I was talking about how I just left my job, or I put in my notice, and the reason I'm bringing that up is that the idea of leaving a steady paycheck to be a full-time tarot reader, to run moon circles, to do empowerment coaching is not like the safe bet, right? That's not the traditional route. And yet that is absolutely, without a doubt, what my soul wants me to do. And what I found is that when I started listening to my soul, like really listening to it, it's just been like blessing after abundance, and like open opportunities, because that's really what it's all about. It's like connecting in with that part of you, because when you do something you love, when you're following that thread, you will work 10 times harder. You'll do everything you need to do to get yourself there. And also the universe supports that. There's a lot of just universal energy behind you at that pace. So really, like, my whole message here and what I'm saying and why I'm sharing this is it's very, very close to my heart. The importance of this, the importance of like laying down other people's expectations and just living a life that's authentic for you, living a life for you, and being open to exploring like what's not working in your life, because that's a part of it. It's like being willing to admit that you don't like your job, or that your marriage doesn't make you happy, or that, you know, staying at home with the kids is not fulfilling, or maybe that working all day long is not fulfilling and you're not seeing your family, or whatever it might be, whatever your truth is. And it's different for absolutely everyone, but whatever that truth is, being willing to say, it matters. Like, what I want matters in this world, and it is not about showing this perfect front to people. It's about being real. And the people who connect with that, the people that resonate with your mess and with your realness, like, that's your tribe. Those are the people you want around you. So I hope you have enjoyed this message. As I said, it's very close to me. It's really like the cornerstone of the work that I do with my clients, and then just also in my life. So I'm happy I could share it with you. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Most of us have a long weekend. And just make some beautiful messes out there. All right. Thank you.